Lesson number 36 in Lucas Oil. Wayne Lucas here. Welcome. I was talking to somebody recently. They were showing me a review of a movie that came out a few years ago called Moneyball. And it centers around a story 2002 in the major leagues of baseball where there was a team that was at the bottom. They were struggling. They couldn't win games. They were at the bottom of the payroll. Their salaries were the lowest. And so they just couldn't compete. They hired a manager, and the person would come in and begin to, based on statistics, redid the entire team. And in so doing, these people that were statistically should be doing a lot better than they were, he really worked on them and got them to produce. And they the story was quite miraculous, from a season where they had lost 11 in a row, turning it around and winning. And they broke the record, 20 games in a row, winning 20 in a row. Jesus is telling a story. And the story is found in Luke 16:33, verse 13. No one can serve two masters. You will either hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Jesus is making reference here to a rich man. And the rich man had a manager who managed his affairs. But the manager was dishonest. He was embezzling the funds. He was ripping him off. And the rich man became aware of this. The manager became aware that his owner, the owner of all this, was becoming aware of what was happening. And so he went into a survival mode. He began to change all his practices. And what he did is he called all the people that owed money and they had negotiated deals with. He called them back and he renegotiated. He began to slice off huge portions of debt and renegotiated all the deals. In his mind, it was better that if he got the pink slip, he needed to make some friends. And he needed to put some things in place so that, because he wasn't prepared to go and dig ditches. He wasn't prepared to go out and work, with calloused hands. He wasn't prepared to do that. And if he was going to stay in this kind of business, he had better do something and do it quick. And so he did. And it wasn't a great plan. I mean, it was a very conniving type of plan. But his owner tipped his hat to him and said, I wish you had been as shrewd, not in the negative sense, but as careful, a good manager in all that time that you had to do with with my funds. You could have managed them a whole lot better until you got backed into a corner. There were some lessons that came out of this. That's lesson number one. We need to be wise spiritually. We have spiritual affairs that we need to be managing. And, if we would pour the amount of energy we pour into our financial pursuits, our work pursuits, our whatever pursuits they might be, that we would put into our spiritual pursuits, chances are we'd be doing a whole lot better spiritually. Secondly, make wise choices. And here, he had to make choices on regarding how to spend money. We need to make choices. How do we spend our money? Choices about where do you spend your time? Choices about how will you put your effort towards your family or your workplace or your schooling. Choices, you need to make wise choices. And as you would put choices to that, they need to be choices that are spiritual choices as well. What would Jesus do? Thirdly, we need to choose wise directions. The message of my life is revealed in the passions, the core of my life. You can't serve two masters at the same time. You can't go two directions at the same time. What is at the heart of my direction? And I think of Philippians chapter 3. Paul would speak in verse 13 that we need to concentrate our energies on one thing. It's like a race. A runner in the race can't be thinking about yesterday or last week or even this morning. He's got to focus on what's ahead of him, and he's got to push aside the other stuff. And we need to make those kind of wise management decisions when it comes to our spiritual well-being. We can start today. It's not too late. I trust that each of us will put in place the things that would prove to be wise management in our lives when it comes to the spiritual things that God has given us. Let's do that. Thanks for joining me.